Discover how 15 years of pain were transformed in an incredible reunion moment with an unexpected twist. Jake stood in his quiet garage, the tools around him silent witnesses to the weight in his heart. Outside, the town of Maplewood buzzed with excitement. The annual fair was in full swing, its vibrant colors and laughter piercing the heavy fog of his solitary existence. Once, he had been that joyful boy, skipping through the town square, full of dreams and friendship. Now, he was a 38-year-old mechanic, haunted by the ghosts of a time when everything seemed right. The betrayal from Tom, his best friend, still gnawed at him, a wound that refused to heal. His mother, steadfast as ever, insisted he attend the fair. "You need this, Jake," she said, her voice brimming with the kind of hope that only a mother could possess. "Family and community can heal a broken heart." Her faith was unwavering, a lighthouse guiding him through a stormy sea of regrets. But as he stared at the vibrant fairground in the distance, the ache of unresolved emotions loomed large. As he stepped onto the fairgrounds, nostalgia washed over him. The smell of fried dough seemed to pull him back into sweet memories, each laugh and squeal of joy a reminder of what he once cherished. But that happiness came crashing down when his gaze found Tom, laughing with friends, his successful life a stark contrast to the burden that Jake carried. The sight was like a slap. It stirred an overwhelming tide of anger and sorrow within him. Their eyes briefly locked, and in that moment, the years melted away. Jake felt the hurt, the betrayal, the longing for resolution. Then, a sudden scream shattered the atmosphere. "Help! Someone!" Panic rippled through the fairgrounds as a child fell from a ride, chaos erupting around them. It was as if time stopped. Jake was propelled into action, instinctively moving toward the sound, but he soon found himself shoulder to shoulder with Tom. Just like old times, they worked together, moving through the crowd with a shared urgency. Side by side, yet worlds apart. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake's heart raced. The stench of anxiety mixed with spilled soda filled the air. He saw Tom rush forward, expertly tending to the frightened child, his hands steady and strong. In that moment, every wound felt exposed. Years of hurt and betrayal clashed with the instinct to help, to heal, to be more than just the ghosts of their past. The jumble of emotions churned in him, sadness, anger, and a flicker of hope. As they continued to assist and reassure, Jake could feel the weight of his past pressing down on him. Could he forgive all that had been lost? The laughter that had once filled their friendship felt so distant. Would the chaos surrounding them unveil a path to healing, or would it reinforce the bond of anger that had kept him captive for so long? In the midst of the frantic crowd, Jake stood frozen, his eyes fixed on Tom, a surge of conflicting emotions crashing around him like waves, leaving him at the edge of a decision that could redefine everything. Would he choose to forgive? Or would the pain of their history drag him under? The frantic cries slowly faded as the paramedics arrived, their sirens wailing like distant thunder. Jake watched as they took control, focusing on the child who was now wrapped in a warm blanket and tended to with care. It felt surreal, this moment of togetherness. Here they were, two men who had once shared everything, now standing beside each other like strangers. Tom turned to Jake, his eyes wide with adrenaline. "I'm glad you're here," he said, his voice genuinely relieved. The words hung between them, heavy with unsaid thoughts. Jake swallowed hard, grappling with the urgency of the situation mingling with the complexities of their shared history. For a brief instant, Jake considered responding, breaking the ice of their silence that had lasted too long. Instead, words caught in his throat. He remembered all the times Tom had promised him things would stay the same, but those promises had been washed away by betrayal. "Yeah, me too," he finally managed, his voice barely above a whisper. As they stood shoulder to shoulder, Jake's mind raced. He felt their old connection flickering around them like the fair's twinkling lights, enticing yet elusive. Suddenly, a familiar laughter erupted nearby, racing past them through the noisy crowd. It was Jess, his sister, running toward them with a beaming smile that could light up the darkest corners of his heart. She had always been a bridge between him and Tom, reminding them both what the friendship had meant. She arrived breathlessly, her eyes darting between the two men. "Jake! Tom! Is everything okay?" The concern in her voice sent a ripple of warmth through the chilly tension. "Just helping out," Tom replied, the sound of his voice almost casual, as if to downplay the emotional storm brewing beneath the surface. "Good. I was worried," Jess said, looking from one friend to the other, her smile becoming softer as the weight of the moment sank in. "You guys, you need to talk." Jake shook his head slightly. The very thought of it sent his heart racing anew. Could he? Should he? Jess might have sensed his hesitation, as her expression turned earnest. "Honestly, it's been too long. You both can't let this go on. This isn't how you two are supposed to be." Something shifted in Jake. He glanced at Tom, whose eyes had dropped to the ground, guilt etched in his furrowed brow. Time had morphed their pain into something different. It made Jake reconsider not just the past, but the potential for an uncertain future. The dust of their chaotic moments settled around them, and an unfamiliar warmth began to replace the anguish. Was it possible that amidst the chaos of the fair here, now, in this shared experience they could reclaim a part of what was lost? "Let us talk after this," Jake heard himself say before he could think better of it. The words felt liberating and terrifying all at once. Tom looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. Yeah, I'd like that." In that instant, a silent agreement hung thick in the air. Their two men standing on the brink, tethered to their shared memories but increasingly aware of the shimmering possibility ahead. Just then, a group of fairgoers passed by, laughing together, oblivious to the history unraveling before them. Life carried on, vibrant and loud, yet here they stood, bound in a pause that felt critically important. Jake felt the courage swell within him, intertwined with the fear of what lay ahead, a journey back through their shared past fraught with vulnerability and honesty. Would this moment lead them to forgiveness or more hurt? With a deep breath, he understood this was just the beginning. A moment of truth was circling closer, and he sensed it would soon arrive like a storm on the horizon bound to change everything. What awaited them on the other side? The clamor of laughter and music swirled around them, fading into a muted background as Jake blinked, struggling to gather his thoughts. The comforting but chaotic atmosphere of the fair felt distant, even though it surrounded them. Would they manage to bridge the canyon that had opened up between them? "Jake?" Jess's voice broke through the haze. Her gaze flickered nervously between the two men, concern painting her features. "Are you sure?" He nodded slowly, energy crackling through him. The moment they had shared felt fragile yet pivotal, a chance to untangle the threads of their past. Tom shifted beside him, his eyes revealing an urgency that matched Jake's own, as if they both sensed the weight of what lay ahead. "Yeah, I'm sure," Jake replied, his voice gaining strength. The noise of the fair pulsed like an extended heartbeat, a reminder of where they were and where they might go now. They took a few hesitant steps away from the crowd, finding a quieter corner under the flickering lights of a carousel. The light reflected off Tom's face, illuminating the edges of his worry. "This feels strange," Tom said, his voice dipping low. "After all this time." "Strange is right," Jake admitted, leaning against a post. The scent of caramel apples filled the air and reminded him of better days. "I never thought we'd be here like this. I miss it." "Us," Tom replied, his voice barely a whisper. "I hate how things turned out. I still think about it every day." Jake's heart did a slow tumble at the admission. "You think saying that makes it all okay?" The words slipped out sharper than he intended, a mix of hurt and hope. Tom flinched but held his ground. "No, I'm not saying that. But I want to try. I want you to know I'm sorry. I messed up. I was an idiot. Jake felt the raw honesty in Tom's words. It tied a knot in his chest. Years of anger and resentment battled with the small glimmer of understanding. They had both been stupid in their own ways, allowing silence and pride to build a wall that had felt impossible to breach. As he thought this, the sound of children laughing nearby pierced through him. He envisioned their shared memories of fun nights spent dreaming under the stars, secrets shared over late-night adventures. The innocence of their kid-like joy felt like it coaxed him to take a step forward. Can we start over?" Jake asked, his heart racing. "Actually talk about everything?" Tom met his gaze, and for the first time in years, there was no shame in his expression. It was just honesty. "I'd really like that," he said, taking a small step closer. The gravity of the moment hung around them, stirring excitement and fear. Their history was a tangled web, too intricate to untangle easily. But for the first time in what felt like forever, Jake believed they stood a chance. There was so much they needed to dive into. Old wounds, new hopes, and perhaps, an opportunity for healing. "Let us do it," Jake finally said, the words carrying a weight that meant more than just a conversation. It was a promise, a commitment. Just as the soft din of the fair began to envelop them again, a deafening scream ripped through the night, a welcomed interlude for this delicate moment. A child had dropped their cotton candy, their wails echoing above the music. Jake and Tom turned to see a flurry of movement as parents rushed to console the upset child. The distraction echoed the storm of emotions brewing inside Jake. He couldn't ignore it any longer, the feelings had to be faced. "Are you okay, Jess?" he asked, the worry rising in his voice. "I'm fine." She began, but the urgency in her tone caught everyone's attention. Jake looked between Jess and Tom, sensing the significance of this unexpected moment. Would their talk be interrupted forever? Or would they seize the opportunity to dive deep? As laughter erupted again from the crowd, Jake took one more breath, knowing something significant was about to happen. This could be the critical juncture that would reshape everything among them, but just as he prepared to speak, something in Tom's face shifted, and Jake felt the earth tremble, as if a long-buried truth was about to surface. What was Tom about to reveal? Tom's lips parted, the flickering lights casting shadows that danced across his face. Jake held his breath, steeling himself for the revelation. The air thickened with anticipation, mingling with the sweet smell of caramel and popcorn. "Jake, there's something I've needed to tell you," Tom began, his voice trembling slightly. "Something I should be said a long time ago." His eyes darted toward Jess, then back to Jake, as if the weight of the past bore down on him, threatening to crush everything in its path. Jake's heart raced, and he felt a mix of fear and hope tangle within him. Jess crossed her arms, her expression caught between worry and curiosity. This felt monumental, the air crackling with unspoken words. "I know we've been through so much," Tom continued, his gaze fixed on the ground for a moment before meeting Jake's eyes again. "But I've spent these years regretting how things ended between us. I was scared, Jake. Scared of admitting how I felt, of losing the one person who meant the world to me. I thought I could move on, act like it didn't matter. But it does." Jake's breaths grew shallow, each word landing heavy, resonating deep within. The carousel spun softly in the distance, its colors a blur as he focused solely on Tom's face, searching for the truth there. Tom took a step closer, the urgency in his tone growing. "The night everything fell apart, I was ready to say something. I was going to tell you." He paused, a nervous laugh escaping his lips, blending with the music around them. "I was going to tell you that I loved you. But I didn't. I let fear take control instead. And then it was too late." The confession hung in the air, a raw and vulnerable thread connecting them. Jake felt a rush of emotions, anger, sadness, relief. It was as if a dam had broken, all the resentment they had carried streaming away, leaving behind only the truth. I didn't know," Jake whispered, his voice barely audible above the surrounding noise. Tears prickled at the corners of his eyes, threatening to spill over. "I thought you just didn't care." "Believe me, I did. I always have, Tom replied, voice thick with emotion. I didn't know how to handle those feelings, so I pushed you away and tried to pretend I didn't hurt. But I did. Every day, I regretted not being honest with you. Jessica moved slightly closer, her brow furrowing in concern as she took in their exchange. Guys, this is maybe we should find a better place to talk, she suggested gently. But Jake waved her off, needing to stay present in this moment, needing to confront the past head-on. Wait, Tom, Jake said, swallowing hard, gathering his thoughts. How can you just say this now? How can I believe you didn't mean it as a way to, I don't know, ease your guilt? Tom looked pained but resolute. Because the truth is, I'm still scared. Scared you might not want me. Scared that I've messed up beyond repair. But I wanted you to know if there's even a chance for us, I want to take it. Jake's mind whirled. The fair continued to pulse with life around them, but this moment drew them in, carving out a space just for them. The raw honesty between them was like a lifeline thrown across a vast ocean of hurt. But could he trust Tom's words? How could he? The years apart felt heavier than ever, but with each word, the possibility of healing shimmered on the horizon, pushing him to confront his own feelings. Tom, he started, but the uncertainty lingered in his voice. Just as he was about to step forward into the fray of feelings, a loud cheer erupted from a nearby ride, a jarring reminder of the vibrant life around them. Jake glanced back at Jess, whose eyes widened as if she sensed something was about to fracture, a warning shimmering in her gaze. What do we do now? She asked, her tone a mix of excitement and worry. Jake felt the weight of the moment pressing down, anticipation stacking up within him. He knew they were at a crossroads, and the answer lay just beyond his reach. Would he take the plunge? Before he could respond, Tom's hand found Jake's, a firm grip full of determination and hope. The warmth surged through Jake, igniting a spark he thought had long been extinguished. In that moment of connection, Jake realized that no matter how challenging the conversation, the path ahead beckoned, shrouded in uncertainty but alive with potential, and beneath the glimmering lights and laughter of the fair, the most important question emerged in Jake's mind. Could they truly navigate the painful labyrinth of their past to build something new, something lasting? Do you really think we can fix this? He asked, his heart pounding in his chest as he took a deep breath, waiting for Tom's answer. Tom's grip tightened, his fingers warm and reassuring around Jake's. The noise of the fair faded momentarily, creating a bubble just for the two of them. Jake could feel his pulse quicken, the air charged with unsaid promises and unhealed wounds. Jake, I know I can't erase the years we spent apart, Tom said, his gaze unwavering. But I need you to know that I've changed. I've spent so long regretting the past. It took me losing you to see how much I needed you in my life. Jake's heart raced. Hearing Tom say those words felt like a balm on old scars. He wanted to believe him, but the fear of being led astray loomed like dark clouds overhead. How do I know this isn't just talk? He asked, his voice wavering. How do you know it won't happen again? A flicker of pain crossed Tom's face, his brow furrowing. I can't promise it'll be easy. I can't erase my mistakes, but I can show you that I'm committed to making things right. We both deserve another chance if you're willing to take that leap with me. Jake shifted his weight, emotions swelling inside him. Memories surged forth, the laughter they shared, the fights that tore them apart, the shadows of loneliness that followed. Could he really set aside the hurt? Could he forgive? Jess stood silently, waiting, her eyes darting between them. The vibrant lights of the fair seemed to dim a little, as if holding its breath along with them in this fragile moment. Jake struggled to find his voice, battling against the walls he'd built around his heart. I've thought about you every day. I had dreams of what might be been with you. But the pain, it still feels fresh. I can still hear the words we never said. I know, Tom replied, his voice raw with sincerity. But that's the thing about pain. It can either keep us frozen in the past or push us to really live. I don't want to be stuck anymore. I want to fight for us. Can we do that together? The sounds of laughter and joy around them felt like an ironic backdrop against their struggle, yet the warmth of Tom's hand anchored Jake, grounding him. With every pulse of the nearby rides, hope flickered in his heart, rekindling a flame that felt long extinguished. As reality settled around him, Jake realized he had to take a step forward, even if it was with a shaky heart. "I want to believe you," he confessed softly, searching Tom's eyes for sincerity, for the love he had once known. "But what if you walk away again when it gets tough?" "I can't promise it'll be perfect," Tom murmured, his eyes shining. "But I promise to stay. I promise to work through it all with you, no running this time." The vulnerability in Tom's eyes struck Jake deeply. It wrapped around his heart, pulling him closer to the possibility of reconciliation. He sighed, knowing this path would not be easy. But the truth lingered, beckoning him forward. They had a chance to reshape their history. He could feel it. "Okay," Jake whispered, barely audible but filled with resolve. "Let us try." Just as the weight of his decision settled in, Jess spoke up, breaking the spell. "Wow, this is huge," she said, glancing between the two of them. "I think it's worth exploring, but you both need to be ready, like really ready." Tom nodded, his eyes never leaving Jake's. "We will be," he promised, a small smile breaking through the tension. As laughter erupted from the carousel nearby, Jake took a step closer to Tom, their hands still intertwined. The future felt uncertain, sure, but Jake could feel the warmth radiating from Tom, hope knitting the frayed edges of their hearts together. They had a long way ahead of them, filled with challenges. But standing here, amidst the chaos of the fair, a flicker of belief ignited within Jake. He dared to imagine what rebuilding their bond might look like. With determination building in his chest, Jake took a deep breath. "What do we do next?" he asked, curiosity weaving itself into the hope building in the air. As Tom opened his mouth to answer, a sudden commotion erupted nearby, drawing their attention. A crowd rushed past them, laughter and shouts filling the atmosphere. But within that chaos, all Jake could focus on was the electric possibility blooming between them. "Let us figure it out together," Tom finally said, eyes gleaming with resolution, as the crowd's energy swelled around them, and as the evening drew on, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a journey neither of them had anticipated. Would their path lead to the dream they once held? As the laughter and shouts from the fair spun around them like a whirlwind, Jake felt the weight of the moment crash down. This was real. The air was thick with potential, and it made his heart race faster. He searched Tom's eyes, trying to decipher the promise behind that sincere gaze. Could they really build something new from the remnants of their past? "Wait," Jess interrupted suddenly, her voice slicing through the buzz. She leaned closer, concern etched on her face. "Before you dive into this, have you both really thought it through? I mean, you both are diving into some deep emotional waters. It's not just about feelings, it's about trust. Are you ready?" Jake swallowed hard, her words hitting home. Trust. How could they possibly rebuild that? But then he looked at Tom again, feeling the warmth of his hand. I think I am," he replied, his voice stronger now. "I want to try." Tom squeezed Jake's hand even tighter. "I know it won't be a smooth road. But I'm ready to show you, to earn your trust back. This time, I won't run." Something shifted between them, an understanding that words alone couldn't convey. The crowd swirled around them, a jigsaw puzzle of laughter, shouts, and colorful lights, but in that moment, everything else faded into background noise. Jake took a deep breath, pushing through the nerves. "Okay. How do we start?" Tom's smile widened, a mix of relief and excitement. "Let us take it slow. We can start with small steps. How about we grab something to eat? We can talk, just the two of us. No pressure." A wave of warmth washed over Jake. It felt so simple, yet so monumental. "I'd like that," he said softly. Jess gave him a bright smile. "I'll let you two have your space." Just remember, I'm here if you need me. With a nod, she stepped back, leaving them surrounded by the vibrant chaos of the fair. Jake felt a rush of emotions: hope, trepidation, even excitement. They started walking together, fingers still intertwined, Tom guiding them through the throngs of festival-goers with a sense of purpose. As they approached a food stand, the smell of caramel and popcorn wafted through the air. It was intoxicating. Jake let out a soft laugh, stirring memories from their youth, when they spent countless weekends at fairs just like this, eating food that was probably terrible for them but tasted like heaven. Remember the last time we were here? Tom asked, a soft smile on his lips. Jake nodded. You won that giant stuffed bear. You couldn't stop bragging for months. Tom chuckled, and the sound was like music to Jake's ears. I always wanted to win something for you. But honestly, I had the best prize right in front of me the whole time. Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks. Could words really mean so much? It felt as if, with every jest, Tom was chipping away at the walls Jake had constructed. As the lights of the fair flickered against the night sky, Jake realized how much had been missing from his life: the laughter, the connection, the hope of what could be. They ordered their food, sharing comfortable banter, and it felt like slipping into a favorite song. Each laughter built a bridge towards something new, but as they found a quieter corner away from the noise, a part of Jake still clutched at that familiar fear: the fear of the past repeating itself. He lifted his gaze, locking eyes with Tom, uncertainty lingering there. Tom, what if this doesn't work? Jake asked, voice trembling slightly. What if we end up hurting each other again? Tom's expression turned serious, his brow furrowing. Then we'll face it together. I'm not going to run this time. I want to build something lasting. You deserve that. Jake felt a twinge of hope mixed with vulnerability. Could they really navigate these uncharted waters together? Just as the tension hung in the air, a scream broke through their moment: the thrilling sound of a roller coaster careening down its track. Tom chuckled and offered his hand. Let's not ponder too hard. Come on. Let's take a ride. With a hesitant smile, Jake took his hand. The fair lights twinkled in the distance, bright, chaotic, full of life. The roller coaster's ups and downs mirrored the emotions churning inside him, and as he climbed into the seat beside Tom, he felt the rush of possibilities. Could this night transform everything? As the ride surged forward, they were swept into the thrilling unknown, and for the first time in a long time, Jake felt the sweet whisper of possibility. Would they find their way back to each other amidst the highs and lows ahead? The ride jolted them forward, wind whipping through Jake's hair, his laughter blending with the screams of thrill-seekers around them. It felt exhilarating, a moment lifted out of time, but beneath the excitement, he could still feel the weight of his worries pressing down. As they crested the first peak, Jake's heart raced, not just from the thrill, but from the uncertainty that still lingered. With a sharp drop, they soared downward, the world around him blending into a blur of lights and colors, the thrill of adrenaline sparking some of his old joys. Tom's hand gripped his tighter as they plummeted, and Jake caught a glimpse of the sheer exhilaration painting Tom's face. It ignited something in him, a flicker of hope that maybe adventures could indeed change their reality. As soon as the ride ended, they stumbled off, laughing breathlessly, still spinning in the joy of shared experiences. Let's do that again. Tom said, eyes gleaming. Jake hesitated, laughter fading into the back of his throat. Maybe. But I think I need a break. Tom's smile faltered just a bit, and Jake immediately felt guilty. This was supposed to be a fresh start, and here he was slamming on the brakes. He hadn't meant to create distance. Hey, Tom said softly, reading the change in Jake's mood. You okay? Jake took a deep breath, the hubbub of the fair hushed for a fleeting moment in his mind, a reminder of what was at stake. I just, it's all new. I want to enjoy this, but I keep thinking, what if it all goes wrong again? Tom nodded slowly, understanding flickering across his face. I get it. It's hard. But I'm here. Just, take it one step at a time. If you want a break, we can walk, talk, whatever you need. Jake felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. Thanks, Tom. They wandered deeper into the fairgrounds, the ambient noise of distant laughter and music swirling around them. Grabbing cups of hot cocoa, they found an empty bench beneath a string of fairy lights. Tom took a sip, grinning as marshmallow foam danced on his upper lip. Seriously. This place could be a movie set, he said, gesturing animatedly. I mean, look at those lights. We're living a rom-com moment. Jake couldn't help but laugh, and for a moment, that laughter felt like an unbreakable thread connecting them. Yeah, but isn't every rom-com filled with misunderstandings and drama? Jake replied, the lightness tempered by his fears. I'm just trying to be realistic here. Tom's eyes softened. We're not a movie, Jake. We're real people, and we're not going to let the past define us. We're writing our own story now. Jake met his gaze, the intensity of Tom's words sending a tremor through him. They were both learning to navigate this unsteady ground together, and it felt like climbing a mountain. Exciting, yes, but inherently risky. The fair lights grew brighter as they spoke, sparking embers of hope, yet Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows of their past, those years of silence, hurt, and betrayal still loomed somewhere. What if no matter how hard we try, we can't escape all that? Jake admitted, vulnerability creeping into his voice. What if we fail? Tom leaned closer, lowering his voice, a seriousness in his eyes. Then we'll fall together. And we'll get back up, it's all part of it. This time, we do it together. Just then, a child's delighted scream broke through their exchange, drawing Jake's attention to the carousel spinning nearby, a kaleidoscope of colors and music. The thrill of it all felt intoxicating, yet he remained anchored by his worries. But what happens if there's another storm? Jake's voice trembled like the wobbly carousel horses. Tom smiled, despite the gravity of the question. Then, we find shelter and weather it out. We're stronger now. Together. Jake's heart skipped. Together. It was a promise he wanted to believe in, but could he? Could they really change their narrative? As they sat in silence, the festive lights flickered like his racing thoughts. A realization washed over him: life was shifting. Change was possible, but only if he let it in. The night swirled with hope, a delicate balance of fear and excitement, just as the fair spun around them. What awaited them on this new path? Would they really embrace the adventure ahead, no matter the risks? And then, without warning, the sound of a powerful explosion erupted in the sky. A firework burst, illuminating the night in an eruption of color. Heart pounding, Jake turned to see Tom's face illuminated by the glow, and in that moment, all his fears felt insignificant. Let's make a wish, Tom said, staring into Jake's eyes, a hint of mischief in his voice. But what do I wish for? Jake wondered. Tom leaned in closer, the warmth of companionship weaving between them. How about for a new beginning? Jake's breath hitched at the weight of the moment. Could they really wish away the scars of the past? As more fireworks exploded overhead, a question lingered, bright and electrifying, hovering in the air between them. Were they ready to seize that new beginning, no matter where it might lead? The fireworks burst overhead, painting the night sky with colors that felt like dreams come to life. Jake's heart raced, filled with an intoxicating blend of fear and excitement. Tom's eyes gleamed as he stared into the sky, lost in the spectacle. For a moment, Jake watched him, a canvas of hope, joyful and light. It was in that gaze that Jake felt the weight of his past lift just a little. Maybe, just maybe, they could really conquer this together. Make your wish. Tom urged, his voice excited, pulling Jake back to the present. Jake's mind raced. A new beginning. It sounded so tempting. But what did that truly mean for them? As the last firework fizzled out, he realized he only wanted one thing: to let go, to move forward. I wish for us to be all right, Jake finally said softly, a whisper lost in the aftermath of the explosions. Tom turned to him, a smile breaking across his face, but there was something deeper in his eyes. "We will be. I promise." They lingered in the warmth of that promise, both knowing the journey ahead would be riddled with challenges. Jake drew Tom in closer, the world around them fading to a blurred hum of laughter and music. It felt as if they were in their own universe, spinning on the axis of hope. "Let us see how far this can take us," Jake said, surprising himself. He could feel a spark igniting within him, a flicker of bravery pushing through the fears that had long kept him tethered. Tom's grin widened. "Now you're talking. Come on, let us hit the Ferris wheel. We can see the whole fair from up there." They stood from the bench and made their way toward the towering ride. The Ferris wheel loomed large, its colorful lights twinkling in the night like distant stars. As they approached the line, Jake couldn't help but glance at the couples around them, each one wrapped in their own little bubbles of joy. He felt a twinge of envy mixed with inspiration. If they could do this, why couldn't he and Tom? His heart clenched. "Hey," Tom nudged his shoulder, snapping him out of his thoughts. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking," Jake admitted. "What if this ride ends up being scarier than the roller coaster?" "We'll hold on tight. Remember, you're not alone," Tom reassured him, squeezing Jake's hand. The ride operator signaled for them to board, and with a rush of adrenaline, they climbed into a car together. The metal seat clinked beneath them, and for a heartbeat, it felt like suspended anticipation. As the Ferris wheel began to turn, they slowly climbed higher, laughter fading into the background noise. Jake's stomach flipped with each ascent, not just from the height but from the realization of vulnerability. With every twist and turn, fears that had been haunting him began to surge. What would happen if they failed? Would that wish for a new beginning be for nothing? As they reached the top, they paused, the city sprawling beneath them, painted with light and life. It was breathtaking, but something deeper stirred inside him. "Look at this. We're on top of the world," Tom exclaimed, leaning over the edge of their compartment, eyes wide with excitement. Jake joined him, breathing in the beauty below. But then, the surge of anxiety hit like a crashing wave. "But what if we fall? What if Jake?" Tom interrupted, turning sharply to face him. "What if we fly?" The intensity of Tom's words rippled through Jake. Could he really allow himself to hope? In that moment, something shifted in Jake's heart. Maybe facing the heights of their new reality would be a risk worth taking. He closed his eyes, focusing on Tom's unwavering gaze. "Okay," he whispered. "I'm ready to fly." As they descended, the thrill of the moment mixed with unfurling possibilities. It felt electric and alive. But the climb had just begun. When the ride finally ended, Jake felt lighter, almost reborn. The air hummed around them, and he spotted the glowing booth selling fortunes nearby. Without realizing it, he tugged Tom in that direction. "Let us see what the future holds," Jake suggested, a mix of apprehension and excitement bubbling within him. Tom looked intrigued but held back. "You sure? What if it just tells us what we already know? Or maybe it reveals something we didn't expect," Jake countered, a sly smile forming on his lips. "Okay, I'm in," Tom said, his own excitement shining through. As they approached the booth, a fortune teller shrouded in shimmering fabric beckoned them in with a wave. The air felt charged with anticipation. "Are you ready to uncover your truths?" she asked, voice soft yet commanding. With their hearts pounding, they exchanged glances that spoke volumes, ready to step into whatever uncertainty awaited them inside. What hidden truths would they discover? And could those revelations bring them closer or tear them apart? The curtains of purple silk hung loosely around the fortune teller's booth, a barrier between the cacophony of the fair and the hush of adventure within. Jake felt a thrill ripple through him, nervous energy crackling like the remnants of the fireworks still echoing in his mind. As they stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. The sense of incense mixed with an air of mystery, swirling around them like an embrace. Jake's heartbeat quickened, not just from the mystery of it all but from the reality of being here with Tom. "Welcome, young seekers," the fortune teller said, her eyes glinting like polished stones. Her voice was smooth, weaving stories that seemed to promise revelations. Jake felt a shiver run down his spine, both thrilling and terrifying. What do we do?" he asked, glancing sideways at Tom, who looked more excited than afraid. "Just sit down, dear," the fortune teller encouraged, gesturing toward a small table adorned with intricate artifacts and glowing candles. They took their seats, hands clasped together on the table, the closeness filling Jake with an unexpected sense of comfort. The fortune teller picked up a deck of worn tarot cards, her fingers deftly shuffling them. "Are you both ready to see what lies ahead?" she asked, her tone teasing but sincere. "Yes," they said in unison, and Jake felt the warmth of determination surge through him. The fortune teller began laying cards down with a fluid grace. The first card was the Fool, a symbol of beginnings, adventures, and the willingness to take risks. Jake's breath hitched. It felt like a mirror reflecting his current state. "What does it mean?" Tom asked, leaning forward, eyes wide. "It represents a leap into the unknown," she replied, "embracing the risks you're willing to take in your journey together." Jake felt as if the entire world hung on those words. A new beginning, yes, he wished for it. That's wow. The next card was the Lovers. Jake's heart swelled, realizing the implications. This wasn't just about romance, it was about connection and commitment. "It's about choices," the fortune teller said softly. "You're at a crucial junction, and the decision you make will shape your paths moving forward." Tom turned to look at Jake, a spark of something unspoken passing between them. Suddenly, the weight of uncertainty crashed down again. "What if we choose wrong?" Jake's voice wavered, the vulnerability surfacing again. "Every choice is an opportunity for growth," the fortune teller reassured gently. She reached for the next card, revealing the Tower, an unexpected twist, a breakdown of old structures to make way for new beginnings. Jake's breath hitched, recognizing his own fears. "What does that mean for us?" he asked, dread pooling in his stomach. "Change," she answered, her voice steady. "Even destruction can lead to rebirth. You must let go of what no longer serves you to build something stronger." His mind reeled, the implications swirling. Could they really do this? Could they break down those walls he'd built for so long? As the fortune teller continued, the cards unfolded into a complex narrative of trials and triumphs. The darkness, the uncertainty, they were interwoven with threads of hope and resilience. The predictions were stirring something deep within him, a sense of clarity starting to form amidst the chaos. When the final card was laid, the sun, Jake felt a rush of warmth flood his chest. It radiated joy, optimism, and success. "This is you stepping into your light, embracing who you are and sharing it with the world," the fortune teller said, a knowing smile gracing her lips. In that moment, Jake sensed a shift within himself, an encouraging whisper that told him everything was possible. But beneath the surface, doubt started to creep in again. Could he truly embrace this? Tom squeezed Jake's hand tighter. Maybe it's not just about the future." Jake met Tom's gaze, the sincerity gleaming there. "What do you mean? What if it's about facing our past together, too?" Tom's words hung in the air, a thread pulled taut between them. Jake's heart raced in confusion and hope. The past felt heavy, but perhaps sharing that burden could unlock a powerful future. As they stepped back out into the vibrant chaos of the fair, the echoes of the fortune teller's cryptic words lingered. The air buzzed with a promise of change. But what was next? Would confronting their past draw them closer or pull them apart at the seams? Jake stood amid the swirling vibrancy of the Maplewood Fair, the ghost of uncertainty still lingering as he clutched Tom's hand tightly. The cards and their revelations felt fresh in his mind, igniting sparks of courage while drawing forth the shadows of the past. As the laughter of families and the bright lights danced around them, he took a step, moving towards the warmth of something new but not without the weight of what was unsaid. "Hey, he said softly, pausing to look into Tom's eyes, those familiar depths that held both promise and fear. About everything we talked about, it's a lot to take in. I want to revisit it all, but I need you to know I'm scared. Tom nodded, his gaze steady and encouraging. I'm scared too, Jake. But we're in this together. We confront it all today, right here. With a determined breath, Jake squeezed Tom's hand. The pulse of the fair around them faded, enveloped in a bubble of their shared resolve. Together, he echoed, anchoring himself to that promise. Let us go find a quiet spot, just like before. As they slipped away from the chaotic laughter and neon lights, they stumbled upon a secluded corner edged with twinkling stars. The chill of the night brushed against their skin, but the warmth of their connection held them steady. Sitting on a weathered bench, Jake took a deep breath. Let us talk about it, all of it. Tom shifted closer, exuding the kind of strength that Jake needed. I want to say I'm sorry again, he started, his voice earnest, for letting my fears break us apart. But more than that, I want you to know that I love you. I never meant for that love to turn into anger and silence. Tears started to form in Jake's eyes, a bittersweet ache that mixed with a flicker of hope. I thought you'd never truly care, he admitted, his voice trembling. All those years, all those memories, I never wanted our friendship to dissolve into regret. Tom's expression softened with understanding. We let the silence win. I let my pride hold me hostage. But here we are, a chance to rebuild what we lost, and we owe it to ourselves, don't we? Jake felt a swell of emotions, the thrill of possibility and the painful tug of what they had been through. But nestled within that chaos, something bright began to shine through. I want to fight for us, Tom, he said slowly, gaining confidence. I want to carve out a new space for us in this world. It's terrifying, but I can see how beautiful it could be. Tom's eyes sparkled with hope and relief. Then we face everything together. Every smile, every tear. We don't have to ignore the past, but we can choose to step forward, learning from it. The sounds of the fair faded into the background, replaced by the heartbeat of their shared space, raw and open. Jake took hold of Tom's other hand, intertwining their fingers, feeling the commitment pulse between them. We'll take our time, he added, a smile breaking through the emotional weight. Every step a choice of growth. A look of admiration rose in Tom's eyes, his smile wide and radiant. You're incredible, Jake. Together, we can rise above the storms. As the two of them sat there, tethering their hearts to possibility, joy bubbled within Jake, washing away doubts that had lingered for too long. Their laughter melded with the vibrant sounds of the fair, echoing the promise of friendship, love, and second chances. They leaned closer, sharing whispered dreams for what lay ahead, explorations, adventures, and cherished moments. Let us go ride the Ferris wheel again, Jake suggested with a teasing smirk, mischief in his expression. But this time, I want to see all the new adventures we create together, the whole world. Tom laughed, a sound like music in the cool night air. Let us do it. And who knows? Maybe this time, we just wish on stars, will become them. Hand in hand, they stood, ready to dance through the fair and rediscover the laughter that had always been between them. The lights twinkled like new futures, bright and full of life, inviting them to step forward, together, into the beautiful unknown, and as the fair pulsed with energy and excitement, Jake realized this was just the beginning, an adventure they would map out, heart by heart, step by step. It's time for you to embrace your own journeys. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show us your support. We want to hear your thoughts, comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to support the channel, so let's spread the love.